So who are you?
I'm David Chen. I'm the CTO at Pipio. I lead the development here.
Very cool. And who are you?
CEO of Pipio, Leo, co-founder.
And what is Pipio? First of all, this is the second time or third time I've met with you.
Yep.
I think we've done one on-camera interview so far, but tell the people who haven't seen you before who you are.
So Pipio is the easiest way to start, share, organize, and discover conversations. So for people that are very tech savvy, we're sort of like FriendFeed 2.0. We help you start conversations, and we have a lot of tools and features that sort of help you do things that you could not do in other social platforms.
Yeah. One reason I keep coming back, because you're seeing stuff that other companies haven't yet seen, right? And Dana Boyd at South by Southwest talked about privacy, right? You've built your whole platform around the idea that you can have both a public conversation and a private one. Can you explain what your philosophy is there and what you're doing lately? Because this will be out in a couple weeks after you announce some new products.
So what we wanted to do was look at all the other social platforms and see what they were lacking. And what was lacking was a lot of the private things that you would normally post, because by default a lot of things were public on a lot of the other environments. So one of the things that we wanted to do was try to understand real-world privacy and how that works. And we found out that there's a spectrum of privacy. Sort of the very end of it is the most intimate environment. So that's sort of facilitated by like one-on-one IM chat, for example. And then on the very, very other end, there's something that we call global voyeurism. So Twitter, Facebook, they're really good at facilitating posts in that area. But there's all this in between that's missing. And so we try to facilitate for those conversations as well.
Yeah. One thing I like about you is you have an aesthetic sense that a lot of the other tools out there, like Google Buzz, or services like Facebook, like Twitter, they look ugly to me. And part of that's just trying to be functional. Part of it is because they don't let their designers play and really think about the aesthetic look. You guys seem like a lot closer to GoWalla in that world, that you're building something really beautiful. Can you tell me what's going on
I
there?
think we spend an enormous amount of time not just thinking about the beauty of the product, but also the logic of it. So we spend, I think one of the biggest things that we try to focus on is the usability, the UI, the UX of Pipio.
Give me some examples of touches that you've built into the product that other people don't have.
We have a lot of little things that kind of tell you where things are happening, like little red alert bubbles with counts that will show up when new posts come in, or when you switch to a stream and there's new items, they're highlighted and they'll slowly fade away to kind of show you what's new and what you should be looking at.
Yeah.
Just triggers to like draw your eyes' attention to where you should be focusing.
Yeah, that really catches your eye right away. And I sense that you're going in this direction, but I'll see what you guys say. I sense that you're going to let companies brand themselves, which right now on Twitter, for instance, the only thing I can do is change my background and a couple colors, but I can't really build brand or identity deep into what I'm presenting. What are you guys thinking about that? And tell me a little bit about where you're going.
So identity is a big part of Pipio because it's an element that's very important to communication in general. That's one of the reasons why Facebook took off, because there was this assurance of identity, and so people got attracted to that. So we do pay respect to that. And talking about the corporate stuff, the corporate branding, the corporate solutions stuff.
But it's not just corporate, right? A 13-year-old teenager. I mean, you look at the average MySpace page, and some of them, or YouTube. I just saw a YouTube page that had millions of views, and it was a 16-year-old video blogger who had put color and experience and imagery all through the page and had really worked at that, right? Twitter doesn't let you do that, and even YouTube doesn't let you do it in a really nice way. You know, I'm wondering where you're going to go with that. It's not just brands, right? Coca-Cola certainly wants to put red everywhere, right? Or Nike has its own look with a swoosh, but even a 13-year-old kid wants to present a different image of herself to the world, then Facebook will let them.
For now, there's only our default theme, but we're definitely planning on allowing users to customize the way that you look, not to the extreme of MySpace where everything can be anywhere and all messed up, but somewhere in between. We're more like how Tumblr has themes, and it just kind of, it's still the same structure and everything is where it should be, but you have your own custom theme.
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned Tumblr, because they're one of the companies on my mind because of this, because people can present their identity and what they care about, their pictures, their videos, and a theme, a look of who they are in a way that is hard to do on WordPress or hard to do on Facebook, for instance. You have some new features. What have you been doing? What have you guys been coding up late at night? Yeah.
So the first big feature that we're going to be releasing today, I guess, or on Monday.
Well, this will come up in a couple weeks.
Oh, okay. So one of the big features that we're pushing out is a newly revamped postbox. And what we're introducing is the ability to sort of distinguish between explicit and implicit actions when you broadcast.
Explain what you mean by that.
So we have this extra layer called targets, where you can define targets when you make a post. And targets are people that will get it in their stream.
Okay.
So
I can target on Twitter. I just have to spray it to the world and hope that you see it. Right. But in your world, I can actually target the two of you, or target just you, and it'll show. My item will show up on just your feed.
So you can make a public targeted post. So that means that anybody could go to your profile and still see it.
That's cool.
But the only people that will actually get it pushed into their feed are the people that you target. So you still have the option to make a public non-targeted post, and that'll go out to everybody. But if it's one of those things where it's important and you want that person to be able to distinguish it from everybody else, then you can send a target one.
Yeah.
And of course you can do a private targeted post as well, and that's sort of like a private message or an inbox message.
Do you think you're going to have, right now, Stream, you know, if you go to Facebook or Twitter, it's first in, last out, right? And there's not much you can do with that. My wife, if she puts a baby photo into that stream, gets thrown into the same pattern as everybody else, and she quickly, that photo will disappear before I might even see it. If you're targeting me and trying to make sure that I see something, do you think that there's going to be two separate streams, one with really targeted items that are really personal to you, and one with just the general public noise? Or is there going to be a filter to reorder the stream? Tell me what you're thinking about.
Yeah, so we did run into that dilemma of how we wanted to do it, and the reason why we didn't do a filter on the targeted items was because we wanted to actually do a count. So the way that we do it now, it fits perfectly with our UI. There's a little area where it distinguishes the public targeted, the private targeted, and you get real-time counts on them. So as they come in, you're notified that, hey, this is it. So we were almost going to do it as a filter, but we wanted to, put counts on it. So.
Yeah. Tell me, what are you thinking in terms of location? Location right now is hot, right? South by Southwest went nuts, and GoWall and Foursquare and a bunch of others were arguing over that space. But I started seeing a little bit of location awareness on your messages. Tell me what you're thinking there.
It's really cool because posts are almost like 4 dimensions, or that's 4-dimensional in that there's contextual data, meaning like the post, what the message actually is. There's the chronological element, so like when did it come in, and real time was sort of all about the time element. And then now it's location. And there's also social relevancy, but location, what's cool in our product is you can follow a location. So you can search for a location, say San Francisco, and then save it. And then so now you'll be able to get updates from that specific location. Imagine subscribing to like your neighborhood, and getting notified when there's new posts about that, or maybe
Can you-
like Dave
can you-
moved.
Can you follow different varying sizes of area? Because like I was at Kelly Park yesterday, and that's a park. It's you know maybe 50 acres, right? Where a city is 49 square miles, right? Like San Francisco is 49 square miles. Or I might want to follow just your office to see everybody posting
Right.
from right here. Can I put that into the system, and how? What do you think? What's your philosophy on that?
So the way that our system will work is you can do very detailed search, like by an address. You can search for the address of this, and it would lock you into here. Or if you wanted to create a customized one, you could just go on a map and just use a simple tool to select an area. And have you seen on Yelp, they have the little selectable search area?
Yeah.
Just like that, you can select an area, and now you're subscribed to purely posts from there. And it's all coming in a real-time stream to whatever you've subscribed to.
Oh, that's cool. How do you have an iPhone app or Android app?
So
coming out?
our next-
Because if you're building location, and that tells me, oh, you're gonna start thinking about mobile.
Absolutely, that's definitely the next thing that we'll be doing is
Okay.
the native apps and a mobile site as well.
Okay. What else do you have new that's in there? I saw a piece of what I call curation coming in. Tell me a little bit about where you're going with curation.
We have this thing called channels right now, and channels, the simplest form is just an environment where you can invite people. So it's very similar to rooms or groups or that kind of terminology in other environments. And we beefed a bunch of features for that up. So now it's very fully functional, a lot of admin features, and the curation stuff, the forwarding action that we introduced, we have it on all third-party data and native data. So right now we have in-house third-party clients essentially that we created. So we have a Twitter client, a Facebook client, a YouTube client, and an RSS reader app.
Yeah.
And all the items in there have a forwarding action. And that allows you to curate and move it to wherever you want to. So you could say forward an item to an individual, to a channel, combinations of both, push it back out to a third-party service. So we're introducing this sort of free movement of all this social data.
Now that's really interesting, and it'll be interesting to see where you take that, because I think before the camera turned on, I see you taking it one of two paths, either making a really cool way of consumers pushing around a lot of information, or making it really useful for corporations, like almost a co-tweet competitor. Do you have an impulse of where you're going to take the company from here?
I think the use case is the same. It's just that for enterprise or corporate solutions, they need a much more advanced or much more elite version of the consumer. Because if you think about it, like if I'm on YouTube and I see a really cool video and I want to share it with somebody, I'm opening up Gmail or maybe I'm IMing it, but I'm still sharing / curating. And we just allow you to do that in a much more unique and new way than ever before.
Yeah.
So now you can just have the YouTube app. Let's say I find a really cool video, I could just forward it to you. I could do an open, or I could do a public targeted post through that forward. I could put it into a room. I mean, you were talking about, I think the last time we met, the Haiti incident had happened.
Yeah.
So you were saying, I would love to create like a Haiti channel and start curating relevant posts from Facebook tweets, videos, whatever. Now you can do that. You could create an open channel, and you could even close it up so that only you're the only one posting it.
Yeah.
And what's cool is channels are treated just like users. So just how you can subscribe to a location, you can subscribe to a channel.
Yeah.
So it could just be you curating all that stuff, and people could subscribe to it, or the channel could be a discussion about those things that you're curating, and people could follow that discussion. So the possibilities are really endless.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how you build out curation. I think I've identified 6 or 7 steps to building a curation compliant app. And I think you have 1 or 2 of them, and it'll be interesting to see how you do the others. Do you think you're going to ever build a search engine or a filtering system? Let's put it that way.
You want to get that one?
Oh, we already have.
We already have it.
All right. So
you'll
tell
be
me
able
your philosophy there, because curation and building molecules will really help a search engine.
in what ways do you mean by that?
Well, tagging of multiple items together
Mm-hmm.
adds metadata to all the items, and that metadata is searchable, right? So
Yep.
if I'm, for instance, the Haiti earthquake, I went back and studied the 10 original tweets that people in Haiti tweeted while the earthquake was going on. One was, "My room is shaking like a mofo." Right? He didn't use the word earthquake. He didn't use the word Haiti. His bio didn't mention he lived in Haiti, but I knew he lived in Haiti because of how he described his world. Right? He felt the earthquake, therefore he had to live in Haiti or in the, within 150, 200 miles of there. If I could bundle him with the other 10 original tweets and say Haiti earthquake as a tag, now I paint that metadata on all 10 tweets. Now if he searches for a Haiti earthquake, he's going to find that tweet right away.
Beautiful. We don't do any sort of, we don't have algorithms or like weights like that yet. So the search that we have right now is just pure, real-time keyword searches. And we also have hashtags as well. But you're right on target. So that's the next evolution of what our search will be, is the social relevance is what I was talking about.
Yeah.
So once you bundle those items in and push it into our system, then if we have the data, we can definitely index it and make it searchable. So when you do search Haiti, it's going to match your post and anything else that's tagged it. And along with that will be the original ones that had no context to say that it would belong to a search about Haiti.
Yeah.
I think that's the difference between contextual search on social data versus social search.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's going to be really exciting when that's available.
What are you thinking about lists? Tell me how your system groups together people, or lets me group my skateboarding buddies separately from my coffee drinking buddies.
Well, we have channels, and when we do lists, like how Twitter implemented it, are really just like a passive filter. You're pulling in all the content that person generates, but you're limiting only from these people. While channels is like a very explicit environment where the participants are explicitly posting into the channel. So that's the two different kinds of ways we're doing it. And for lists, it would be very similar to how Twitter implemented it.
Yeah. Business-wise, what's the business fundamentals right now? What's adoption looking like? What are you looking for funding still? What's going on in terms of the business side of the house?
Traction is great. We're getting a lot of the early adopter type of people. There's so many things that that a lot of I think the closest thing that got to what we're trying to do is like friend feed, right?
Yeah.
And we essentially, I think at this point now we can say that we do everything that they do and more. So in terms of adoption, we've gotten a lot of.
You don't aggregate 60 services, right? So, but you do aggregate 4.
Oh, right. I mean, from a principal standpoint, we didn't want to be a Twitter client company. We don't want to be a Facebook client company. So, we said Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, RSS, and maybe a couple more later down the road. But ideally, what we wanted to do was work on the native PPO stuff, so that there's a use case for the actual native features. And so once the community is there, then the third parties are going to be incentivized to build their own apps anyway. So that's sort of the idea.
Are you thinking of advertising business models yet, or are you going to be like Twitter and think about that down the road and try to build adoption for it?
The goal is to become, at least have revenue, and what the most ambitious goal would be to become cash flow positive this year. And we have thought a lot about the business model aspect as well. And I think you were saying that we'll have a lot of copycats, right? I think that's where it'll be really fun for us, because this whole time we've sort of been trying to almost play catch up with what's already existent and all the features that everybody else has. And so now we sort of get to really take charge and sort of act on a lot of these crazy ideas we have for both monetization and for the product itself.
Very cool. What else do we need to know about what you guys are doing right now? What you're seeing happen in the market space, and
I think there's like Google Buzz or I would mention FriendFeed, but they're sort of, they're not really working on stuff anymore. But Google Buzz, a lot of, maybe a couple of aggregators, but no one is really doing exactly what we're doing with our interpretation. The product is based off of the core principles of privacy.
Yeah.
Understanding the difference between something that's public and something that's private, and trying to really create a digital environment that can facilitate all the conversations you have in the real world. We want to fix the problem where you go to Facebook, and you're starting to type something out, but then you're like, wait a minute, I don't want to actually share this, or on Twitter or something like that. And your brain is wondering about those missing spectrums that I talked about that we facilitate. So what we're creating is just digital representations of all the engagement levels that you have in the real world. So I think it's a new total paradigm shift to where, because we're not a social network, we're a social communications platform. We don't necessarily help you network, we help you communicate. And so I think people should come and check it out. I think there's a lot of consumer usefulness to it. There's so many possible ways that you could use it to really enrich your life. That's what's cool about it, because there's a lot of sites out there that are really great time sinks, but at the end of the day, what is like the net asset that you gained from that time spent, right?
Yeah.
And what's really cool about a site like Twitter is that they sort of started to show you how it can enrich your life. And so we're sort of trying to take the next step and show people how it can really be used at a consumer, everyday kind of level.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see where you take it, because you're close to a bunch of things that are really interesting, and already you're more beautiful, more usable than Google
Appreciate
Buzz.
that.
And you're how many guys on your
just
team?
four people.
4 people. So shows that a small team that has agile tools and agile methodology can move and bring some really cool stuff to the market.
I almost want to say that I hope we always stay at the level where it can go in so many different ways, because that means that a lot of people can use it for a lot of different things. One of the cool things, I think the reason why a lot of people say that is because we've purified so many things, so many elements, that the product itself is very embryonic, and it can really turn into anything.
Yeah.
And so we're hoping that people can just sort of get it at the most pure, simple form, and then transform it into however they want to use the service.
That's where the platform will come in, when third parties start building things that take advantage of our communications networks and the privacy that we introduce. Then they can do almost anything, because imagine
architecturally, are these apps, the Twitter feeder that's bringing tweets in, is that really architecturally a true app, and is that going to turn into a real platform where there's going to be an app store?
That's the way we're designing it. So someone can create a multiplayer game on our platform and use the whole privacy system to find someone to play with. They could share their game publicly. Anyone who sees it can join, or they can make a target to some friends who they know are interested, and only they'll get it. Or they can send it to, if I only wanted to play with you, I would send it in a private targeted message to you, and you'd be the only one that would get that game invite.
Very cool. Well, thanks so much for giving me another look at your journey through
No problem. Thank you
entrepreneurship
for showing up.
And where do we learn more about you?
PIP.io.
Very cool. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Robert.
Thanks.